Alright, it's my third attempt trying to record this video, but here we go for all the Kawasaki fans on YouTube, for the probably 1,000 people every decade that look up some information about this bike. I just recently made my first big boy impulse decision and bought this 1986 Kawasaki 454 LTD off of Facebook Marketplace. Sitting at lunch, saw it for sale, had to snap it up. It was mine within 30 minutes of seeing it. So, just a quick video to start my rebuilding process, trying to fix this bike up and also going through, some things that I've already learned. I know nothing about bikes. I bought this bike because it looked cool. That's about it. And that is just the ultimate situation for a bad time. But, I picked this bike up off Facebook Marketplace for $500, and they were asking 1,000 for it, but he disclosed that the starter button did not work. He demonstrated the bike starting for me by crossing the starter solenoid, and it does crank up. He cranked it up, and the first thing I noticed is the thing has no mufflers on it. It's just straight piped, pretty much. So, haggled with him on that. Got the price down to $500. A couple other things: the seat tear, the cosmetics. Sorry for the rain outside if you can hear it. It's pouring right now. But yeah, this is the bike on the back of my truck after picking it up at work. Uh, Another shot on the back. So the funnest part was getting this thing off my truck with absolutely no ramps. So just so happenstance that my truck bed on my Frontier was the exact same bed height as my back porch. Backed my truck up to the stair set and just kind of pushed the bike off using a piece of plywood. Only had about a gap to cover from the top of the deck to my truck. And now here it sits on top of my deck, a nice covered place for me to work on it. I'm going to take down this inflatable hot tub and give myself a space to work. But here is the VIN, or the VIN decoder, that I found online. It's a 1986 Kawasaki EN450-A, and the bike is 10 years older than I am. So it's one thing to see the date 1986. It's another thing to have someone spell it out that this bike is 36 years old. And watched some other YouTubers videos of them rebuilding this bike, and one guy's comment stood out to me, is that the community for this bike is dead. There's no one rebuilding these things. There's no aftermarket support, aftermarket parts. The biggest thing I see people do is turn these bikes into bobbers. It looks like one of the easiest projects to go from a cruiser to a bobber bike. I don't have any interest in that, so not really the videos that I'm looking for. Trying to join some of the community pages just to get a start on it. But I want to get into this video about the things I found. Being a first-time bike buyer, I know nothing. I don't know what you're supposed to look at. I've seen a couple videos online of things to know before you go buy your first bike, and I wish I'd paid more attention, because I'm definitely paying for it now. But in my opinion, I bought this thing not to drive it around, not to bust wheelies down the street. Because look, I have no helmet, no motorcycle license, no motorcycle pads, don't even know how to put the thing in gear. All my family and friends are freaking out that I bought this motorcycle with no experience, but really the only experience I want is how to work on it, how the carburetors work, how the electrical system works. I've been playing with my Coleman 200cc mini bikes, and this is really just a 400cc bike, just not miniature. So just trying to see what I can learn messing with this stuff. Front seat cover off of it. First thing I noticed, obviously the seat has a big tear in it. I worked with that to get the price down with the mufflers and the seat and the starter not working. That's what got me to 500. So digging into the bike, after I took the seat off, I immediately got smacked in the face with what I was looking at. The battery tray, I should say, was gone. And in lieu of it was two ratchet straps. Two ratchet straps holding the battery in a little cradle and holding the ignition timer, or the ignition circuitry down. So immediately after I took the seat off, I just kind of felt like I got screwed. For $500, maybe not much, but I don't mind getting a battery box for this thing. But as that YouTuber Stuff Made Here says, you start to enter integration hell when you start buying parts for this thing. So the first day I got the bike home, went on eBay, found left and right side mufflers for $20 each, picked those up, and I knew going into the mufflers, I'm going to look at this and say, oh yeah, I have mufflers now, let's just attach them to the bike. Well, you look more into a Kawasaki and how they're supposed to be put together, and you realize that you're missing the brackets, you're missing the bolts, the gasket, the isolating gaskets and rubber O-rings, all the clamps for the actual muffler. There's a lot of things. I have the mufflers now coming. Mufflers are going to go on there. I don't know how soon. I might end up going to eBay 5 more times to get all the parts just to install mufflers. And I knew that was going to be the situation going to every aspect of the bike. Is cool, it needs mufflers, but now you also need the flanges and the rings and the bolts and the O-rings, and that's a reality that I know is coming. I was totally okay with it. This battery box though just pissed me off. Really pissed me off when I saw it, and I really feel like I got the what's the saying? The towel pulled over my head, the rug pulled over my head. But it's what we got now. It's our bike. We're gonna keep working on it. So some other parts that I saw, the aftermarket taillights this guy installed is just a hack job. First, they're cheap aftermarket lights that look like they should have gone on a Coleman 200cc mini bike instead of a Kawasaki, but that's what he used, and they don't even work as turn signals. He literally just wired them up in this spaghetti wiring to be, I mean, this thing looks stolen with the work that he did underneath the seat. And these are just the tail lights. So the turn signals don't work, but they do light up. So he literally spliced in power straight from the brake light. He also mounted the brake light on this side hanging mount that I hate. That's going immediately. That's going right back to the back of the bike where it belongs. Just spaghetti mess. Spaghetti. I hate it. Moving on to the actual rear tail light. I don't know if this is stock, but it's what's on the bike, and that's what I'm going to deal with now. I'm probably going to recenter it on the back of the bike, take that tail plate, take the tag plate off, I'm sorry. I have lots of stickers on this bike to remove as well. Don't fear the fin, all that stuff. There's stickers on the forks, stickers on the instrument panel, stickers on the handles, stickers on the body, on the rail. So I'm going to be having a real good time with some Goo Gone and then some chrome polish when I get there. So that's the back underneath the bike. That was okay. Looking more towards the front of the bike, you can see I have a speedometer. And I mean, obviously a bike needs a speedometer, but I did not realize these bikes are supposed to have tachometers. So that's another thing I wish I had haggled more on. Really, this bike should have been basically free for all the things that I now see are missing on it. Bolts missing in brackets, complete brackets missing, wrong lights used, bad splicings, stickers everywhere, just not in a good position that I thought. But you know what, for $500, I'll take that as a learning experience. Even if I run this bike into a tree, if I just put it in full throttle and run it straight into a tree with me not on it, of course, that's totally fine. At least I had fun working on it and learned something. You can see in this picture where the tachometer is actually supposed to go into the main board. And then the last thing I noticed was that the choke lever is missing, which is just a $12 part off eBay. Not that bad, but again, something I didn't realize was missing because I just knew nothing about this bike. I literally just went out, saw it was awesome, saw it started and ran, didn't need any major work, and in my truck it went. So that was the choke lever. The last thing is this crack. I'm not quite sure what this is on the gas tank. He did disclose to me when he sold it to me that it needs to have the gas tank relined, and that's not too bad. I can definitely do that, but I just need to figure out more on how to refurbish this tank. I really don't feel like painting it. It kind of looks like a crack, but it also just looks like a rust line because it is kind of bubbled. I'm not quite sure. I might get a second opinion on this. If anyone knows in the comments what this crack is, it goes from the bottom of the actual gas tank opening and then just kind of stops midway down the gas tank. Not quite sure what that is yet, but it definitely needs to get relined. You can see the fuel filter here is nasty from the rust coming off the tank and getting into the gas. So fuel filter needs to be replaced. Other things I knew I was going to have to do going into it was I got a carburetor rebuild kit. The bowls are definitely leaking. It's extremely slick oil varnish underneath the bowls, so that's going to get replaced. I have rebuild kit for both sides of the carburetor coming. Not looking forward to tearing those apart, but definitely looking forward to learning something about how these work. And that's it for part one. Let me see how far I get. Let me get some parts in, and I'll definitely not make a slideshow next time, but probably an actual video of me working on it and going over the bike. Just wanted to show these pictures to start, and we'll go from here.